A light rain fell on the mansion's gate as the clock struck 6 in the morning. Inside the house, everyone was still asleep, everyone except Donna Rosa, the old maid, who had been taking care of every corner of the house as if it were her own home for over 30 years. Her slow footsteps echoed down the hallway, and the worn scarf she wore on her head had become part of her. Her hands, marked by time, were still delicate as they arranged the flowers in the living room or cleaned the picture frames that held the family's memories. That morning, however, something was different. Donna Rosa's gaze was distant, as if she knew that time was coming to an end. She sat on the edge of the bed, opened an old drawer, and took out a small wooden chest. She ran her fingers over the lid and whispered with a sad smile, "Everything is here, everything I've lived." Shortly thereafter, the sound of hurried footsteps filled the hallway. The employer's youngest daughter, Helena, knocked on the door, calling for her. "Donna Rosa, breakfast." Silence. When they entered, they found her asleep forever, sitting next to the closed chest, her face serene and her hands folded. The morning in the house was brief. There was sadness, yes, but mixed with a cold rush to follow the routine. After all, she was just the maid. No one knew that the small wooden chest, discreetly stored next to the bed, carried a secret that would change the fate of that family forever. Before becoming the soul of that mansion, Donna Rosa was just a simple girl from the countryside. She grew up among plantations and dry winds, helping her mother wash clothes in the river and her father plant corn. The days were long, but the family's laughter made everything seem light, until the drought came and took everything away. At 15, Rosa left the village with a cloth suitcase and all the courage she could muster. She arrived in the big city barefoot, with an empty stomach and eyes full of hope. She slept in train stations, begged for food at strangers' doors, and one morning she stopped in front of the high gates of the Albuquerque family. The owners of the mansion, the lady of the house. Donna Margarita looked at her suspiciously. "Can you cook?" "No, ma'am, but I learned quickly," and she did learn. She learned to bake bread, polish silver and iron dresses that cost more than anything she had ever owned. But what she learned most was to keep quiet, to swallow humiliations with the same silence with which she cleaned the floor. Even so, Rosa did everything with love. Little Gabriel, the couple's son, was the one who brought her joy. He would run into the kitchen, dirtying the waxed floor, and shout, "Rosa! Is the cake ready yet?" She laughed, hiding her fatigue. And when no one was looking, she kept every drawing, every note the boy left her. Deep down, she loved that boy as if he were the son she never had. Life went on like this for decades. Rosa growing older, the family growing, the days repeating themselves between pots and pans, tears, and silent prayers. But what no one knew was that behind that gentle smile there was a story that no one had the courage to hear, until the day the trunk was opened. Over time, the mansion learned to depend on Donna Rosa, but not to respect her. On Saturday mornings, when the family had visitors, she would glide like a shadow through the hallways, carrying heavy trays and smiling slightly so as not to draw attention to herself. She knew that the less she appeared, the better. It was the unwritten rule of the house. "Rosa, the living room floor is dull." "Use another product," said Donna Margarita, without even looking up from her newspaper. "Yes, ma'am," and Rosa went back to scrubbing the same floor, which was already shiny. There were days when Helena, still a teenager, would stand in front of the living room mirror and adjust her new dress while throwing barbs. If you had been born into a family, you might know the value of fabric like this. "Don't touch it without gloves." "I won't touch it." "Miss?" Rosa would reply, hiding her hands, which were injured from the cold water. Even Gabriel, The sweet boy she had helped raise grew up and learned the language of the house. He became kind but distant. "Rosa, I need to go out. Can you get dinner ready?" "Yes, I can, my son." She still called him my son, only when he had already walked out the door. One afternoon, Rosa let the pot burn for a few seconds. She was feeling dizzy. Helena burst into the kitchen with the smell of smoke. "Why are you so distracted? Do you want to burn the house down?" Rosa lowered her head. "Forgive me, miss. I didn't sleep well. That's your problem. Here, whoever makes a mistake cleans twice as much." She cleaned up. She cleaned the pot, the stove, the floor, and inside she also wiped away the tears that insisted on falling. In her simple room at night, she opened her little blue notebook with a worn cover and wrote in small letters, "Today hurt, but tomorrow I'll try again." There was, however, a quiet kindness that no one saw. Rosa set aside the best fruit for the neighborhood children, wrapped bread in napkins, and hid it near the gate. She knew the right time when little hands would come to get it. And when Mrs. Margarita had a migraine, it was Rosa's fennel tea that soothed her. In those rare moments her mistress would murmur, "Thank you," and Rosa treasured that thank you like gold, but the mansion had a short memory for gratitude. At an important dinner party, a crystal glass slipped off the tray and shattered on the carpet. The entire room fell silent. "Imported crystal!" exclaimed a guest. "Helena didn't miss the chance. A whole lifetime and you still haven't learned how to hold a tray." "I pay for it with my salary," Rosa ventured quietly. "Your salary doesn't even pay for the dust on that glass." She calmly picked up the pieces, as if gathering shattered days. Later, alone, she ran her hand over the wooden chest beside her bed. She whispered, "One day my words will have a voice." And as she closed her eyes, she felt that the silence that had protected her for so many years was beginning to transform, no longer a prison, but a secret ready to be born. They wanted her to be invisible. But there were things kept in that chest that would make everyone look at her for the first time. After the glass incident, Donna Rosa's days became even quieter. It seemed as if the whole house was watching her, waiting for her next mistake. Even so, she never missed a single day. She arrived before everyone else, swept the garden, turned on the lights, and set the coffee on the table. The routine was her way of keeping on breathing. When her body began to hurt too much, she made up excuses for the pain. "It's just the weather changing." But deep down she knew it was time taking its toll. Her hands trembled. Her knees could no longer support the weight of the laundry baskets. Even so, she never asked for time off. She was afraid of becoming useless. Some days, Gabriel, now an adult and always in a hurry, would walk through the kitchen, grab his coffee and say only, "Thanks, Rosa," and she would respond with the same affection as before. "You're welcome, my son." It was the only moment of the day when her smile returned. At night, in her small bedroom, she would talk to the portrait of her deceased mother, hanging on the wall. "I endured, Mom. I don't know why. But I feel like there's still something I need to do here." Next to the bed, the wooden chest remained closed. Inside, she kept clippings, notes, photos, and a letter she had written many years ago. A letter she never had the courage to deliver. It was the only voice she had left. And while the mansion slept, Donna Rosa folded her apron, sat on the edge of the bed, and prayed softly, "Lord, let me live long enough to make everything right." Just a little longer. No one in the house imagined that each day of her work was also a farewell. Each plate washed, each sheet ironed, each cup of tea prepared, was her way of saying goodbye without being noticed. The morning began like any other. The smell of coffee, the sound of birds in the garden, and Donna Rosa awake before sunrise. She swept the porch while the cold wind cut across her face. But that morning, something was different. Her body felt heavier, her breath shorter. When she climbed the stairs to tidy the rooms, a dizziness overcame her. The hallway spun, and the bucket of water slipped from her hands, spilling across the marble floor. Rosa tried to lean against the wall, but her strength faded. She fell to her knees, gasping for breath, and the sound of the bucket echoed through the house. Helena appeared at the door, annoyed by the noise. "For God's sake, Donna Rosa, are you going to spill the whole house?" But when she saw the pale face of the old maid, her expression changed for a moment. "Are you all right?" she asked, not knowing how to react. Rosa tried to smile, but could barely manage it. "Just a little dizzy, miss. It'll pass." Gabriel hurried down the stairs, his tie still crooked. Seeing Rosa lying on the floor, he approached her, concerned. "Rosa, what happened?" "Nothing, my son. Just my body. Tired." He helped her sit on the sofa and brought her a glass of water. For a brief moment his gaze met hers, a look that reminded him of the days when he was just a boy running around the kitchen asking for cake. "You should rest, Rosa. You don't have to do everything yourself." She smiled, her eyes misty. "But that's all I know how to do, my son. Take care of people." Donna Margarida, the matriarch, appeared shortly after, adjusting her glasses. "Rosa, maybe it's time to think about going home. You've worked too hard here." The phrase, spoken without malice, cut the old woman's heart. Home. But this place was her home, the only home she knew, and she knew that when she left, the world would forget her. That night, alone in her room, Rosa opened the wooden chest for the first time in years. She touched the memories stored there. The first letter she had written to Gabriel when he was still a child, the yellowed portrait of a young Donna Margarida, and the envelope with the shaky handwriting, the same one that held her greatest secret. "It's not time yet, but it will come," she murmured, closing the chest carefully. And when she turned off the lamp, the room was plunged into silence, a silence full of stories, pain and love that no one ever suspected. The following days were filled with silence and glances that avoided hers. Mrs. Margarida began leaving short notes on the table. "Get some rest, Rosa," or "Leave it to Helena." But Rosa knew these weren't gestures of care, they were signs of farewell. One cold afternoon, the lady of the house called her into the main room. Her employer's expensive perfume mingled with the smell of wax from the freshly polished floor. "Rosa, have a seat." The old maid obeyed. Her hands trembled on her apron. "You've been with us for a long time. We appreciate everything, but maybe it's time to rest." Rest. The word echoed inside her like thunder. It was the same as saying, "We don't need you anymore." "I can still take care of the house, Mrs. Margarida. I just need a few days to recover my strength." Her employer looked down, uncomfortable. "You've given everything you could. We want to help you. Helena will arrange a simple retirement for you. That way you can live in peace." Mrs. Rosa swallowed hard. There was no discussion. It was a goodbye disguised as kindness. She got up slowly, adjusted the scarf on her head, and replied simply, "Yes, ma'am. Thank you for everything." When she left the room, Helena was waiting at the door. "Don't take it the wrong way, Mrs. Rosa. You've worked too hard. It's the cycle of life, you understand?" Rosa forced a smile. "I understand, miss. Every cycle ends." That night, she prepared her last meal as if it were a ritual. Well-seasoned beans, fluffy rice, the smell of garlic in the air. She ran her hand over the table, remembering every dinner, every laugh she had heard there. Before going to sleep, she knelt in front of the wooden chest and cried softly. It's been so many years, my God. I just wanted them to understand how much I loved them, even though I was never part of the family. She put a small golden key inside the chest, tied a blue ribbon around it, and whispered, "One day they will open this, and they will know who I was." And so, with a heavy heart and teary eyes, Donna Rosa closed the door of the mansion for the last time. Inside, the echo of her footsteps lingered on the walls, as if the house knew that something sacred was leaving. The mansion never sounded the same after Donna Rosa left. At first, no one admitted it, but the silence weighed heavily in every corner. Breakfast was late, clothes were poorly ironed, and the aroma of fresh bread, the kind she made every morning, disappeared. Helena, impatient, complained incessantly, "How is it possible that 2 new employees can't do the work of one old woman?" Donna Margarita pretended not to hear, but her gaze betrayed her longing. Even the old clock in the living room seemed to tick more slowly. One afternoon, Gabriel came home from work and upon entering the kitchen saw the empty table. No note, no smell of coffee. An emptiness ached in his chest. "Funny," he muttered. "She didn't even say goodbye properly." Helena shrugged. "It's better this way. These people get too attached. It's a favor we do them." But Gabriel's heart didn't believe it. He knew that Donna Rosa would never do anything without leaving a sign. And he was right. A few days later, a simple letter arrived in the mail. It was from her. The handwriting was shaky, the blue ink smudged. "My boy, I may not be there anymore, but I want you to know that every corner of this house has a little piece of my heart. I kept my memories in a wooden chest, the same one that has been with me since the beginning. When you feel it's time, open it and remember, gratitude is what keeps families together." Gabriel held the paper with trembling hands. His sister scoffed. "A chest? It must be old junk." But he didn't laugh. "No, it's hers. And if she asked us to open it, we'll open it." The trunk, forgotten in a corner of the maid's room, was covered with a sheet of dust. No one could imagine what was inside. That night, the sound of the wind blowing against the windows seemed to whisper her name. Rosa. It was as if the whole house was calling out for the person who had always taken care of it, and who, even though absent, was still present in every detail. The day dawned cloudy, and a strange calm took hold of the mansion. Gabriel descended the stairs with the letter in his hands, still unable to believe that this piece of paper could hold something so important. Helena was waiting for him in the living room, arms crossed, clearly impatient. "Let's get this over with. There can't be anything in there but old memories." Gabriel took a deep breath. "Even so, I want to see. She spent her whole life in here. She deserves to be heard, even if it's only now." They went to the little room where Donna Rosa slept. The air there was different. There was still the smell of soap, clean clothes, life. The wooden chest rested in the corner, covered in dust, but intact. The little blue ribbon was still tied around it, and the golden key was attached to it. Gabriel knelt down and slowly turned the key. The sound of the lock opening echoed through the room like a whisper from the past. When he lifted the lid, a faint scent of lavender escaped, the same smell that reminded him of his childhood. Inside were yellowed envelopes, old photos, a blue notebook, and a bundle of letters tied with red ribbon. Everything was carefully organized, as if each memory had a place in her heart. Helena rolled her eyes. Old junk. But Gabriel was already leafing through the notebook. The handwriting was delicate, shaky, and the title on the first page made him shudder. Memories of a life no one saw. He began to read aloud. Today, Gabriel accidentally called me Mom. It was the happiest day of my life. Helena tore her new dress and blamed me, but I didn't complain. Her mother was already too tired. The house sleeps, and I pray that one day they will understand that I served out of love, not obligation. Helena was silent. With each line, her pride crumbled. At the bottom of the trunk was an old photo, Gabriel, as a baby in Donna Rosa's arms, smiling, with the sun shining through the kitchen window. Behind the photo was a dedication. Love doesn't need a last name to be real. Gabriel felt a lump in his throat. She loved me as if she were really my mother. Helena whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. And maybe she was, more than we realized. The wind blew through the window, lifting the curtain and rustling the pages of the notebook, as if time confirmed what Donna Rosa always meant to say. Love given in silence is the most eternal. The chest, now open, looked like a heart revealing everything it had kept for a lifetime. Gabriel trembled as he held the small bundle of letters tied with red ribbon. There were many, some addressed to him, others without names, only with old dates and tear stains. He untied the ribbon carefully, as if touching something sacred. The first letter was written in delicate handwriting. My boy, you may never read this, but I need to write, if only to ease the weight on my chest. When you were little, you would cry at night and call for me. I would secretly pick you up, even though I knew I shouldn't. The lady didn't want me to touch you. She said I was just a servant. But when you slept in my arms, I felt that God was giving me back everything that life had taken from me. Gabriel stopped reading. Tears began to fall without him being able to hold them back. Helena, previously impatient, now watched in silence. He continued, The family never knew, but I lost a son before coming to this house. He was born weak, and God took him away when he was still a baby. Since then, I have lived with a void that no work could fill. When I saw you for the first time, I felt the same love, the same warmth that I thought I would never feel again. You saved me without knowing it, and I dedicated my life to taking care of you, even from afar. Gabriel's hands trembled. My God, he murmured, his voice breaking. She lost a son, and loved me as if I were him. Helena approached, picking up another letter. Little by little, I came to understand that it wasn't blood that made a family. It was love, even though no one saw me, even though they thought I was just the woman in the kitchen. I knew my place was here, taking care of them, even if no one said thank you. Silence filled the room. The distant sound of rain seemed to accompany their restrained crying. At the bottom of the trunk was one last letter, sealed with the name Gabriel, written in shaky letters. He hesitated before opening it, but felt he had to. If you are reading this, my boy, it is because time has taken me. But I want you to know, I never regretted anything. Every dish washed, every tear swallowed, every night of exhaustion. It was all worth it to see you grow up. If you ever feel lonely, look inside the house. I will be in every corner, in every smell, in every memory. And remember, the love that is given without being asked for is the closest thing to God's love. When he finished reading, tears streamed down his face uncontrollably. Helena approached and hugged him, breaking years of coldness. She lived here, and we never realized how much we owed her. Gabriel replied between sobs, Now I understand. She didn't serve the house. She served love. The wind blew again, opening the curtains and illuminating the chest. Donna Rosa was no longer there, but somehow she had never left. In the days that followed, the whole house seemed to breathe differently. The silence, once heavy, now had the sound of vivid memory. Donna Rosa's letters remained on the main table in the living room. No one had the courage to put them away. It was as if, finally, that forgotten voice had gained the space it deserved. Gabriel walked through the rooms with a heavy heart. Every corner brought back a memory of her, the smell of fresh coffee, her soft laughter when he was a child, the whispered prayers at nightfall. One morning he called the family together. Helena, Donna Margarita, and the new employees were there, confused. "I want to say something," Gabriel began, his eyes brimming with tears. "Donna Rosa dedicated her life to this house. She took care of us when no one else would, and we never said thank you." Helena lowered her head, ashamed. "She deserved more than we had the courage to give," she murmured. Gabriel continued, "I've decided something. From today on, Donna Rosa's room will no longer be used to store objects. It will remain the way she left it. And this chest will remain open so that everyone can know who she really was." Donna Margarita, her voice already weak, wiped away her tears. "She was more loyal than many people in our own family. May God bless her wherever she is." And for the first time, that family, accustomed to orders and appearances, knelt together on the floor of the mansion. Gabriel said a simple but heartfelt prayer. "Lord, thank you for sending us Donna Rosa. Forgive us for not seeing the angel you placed among us." Outside, the wind blew softly, and a flower petal came through the window, landing on the open trunk. It seemed like a sign. Helena smiled through her tears. "It's her. She's saying she forgives us." And Gabriel replied, "Yes, because the love she gave was never in vain." That day marked a new beginning. The mansion, once cold, took on a new air, more human, more alive. The new employees learned to respect Donna Rosa's room as a small sanctuary, and every year on her birthday, flowers were left on the chest. Time passed, but her legacy remained, and those who entered that house felt something inexplicable, a light, presence, a scent of lavender, and the certainty that kindness never dies, it just changes places. Years passed, but the name Donna Rosa never ceased to echo within the mansion. Time had dulled the shine of the furniture, the curtains had been replaced, but the simple little room where she slept remained intact, as if time had stopped there to respect the memory of those who had lived there. Gabriel was now a more mature man, the father of 2 children, and every Sunday he took them to that room. "This was her bed," he would say, running his hand over the linen sheet that still retained the scent of lavender. "She took care of me when I was younger than you. She was the kindest woman I ever knew." The children listened attentively, their curious eyes fixed on the chest. "And is it true that she left a treasure?" asked the youngest. Gabriel smiled. "Yes, but the treasure isn't gold. It's made of love, courage, faith." He slowly opened the chest. Inside, in addition to the yellowed letters, there was now a framed portrait of Donna Rosa and a bronze plaque with the inscription, "To the one who served with her heart and loved like a mother." The eldest touched the frame delicately. "Dad, was she part of our family?" Gabriel replied tenderly. "More than that, she was its heart." With each visit, the children asked questions, and Gabriel told the stories of the warm bread, the letters, the strength with which she faced each day, without ever losing faith. And little by little, her name was passed down from generation to generation, not as the maid, but as the woman who taught the true meaning of serving out of love. Over time, Helena also changed. She became more human, more sensitive. She spent hours in Rosa's little room, reading the notes she had once despised. One day, she left a simple, handwritten note on the trunk. It took me a while to understand, but now I know. Greatness never lies in pride, but in silent kindness. The wind blew gently, and the blue ribbon that still adorned the trunk swayed, as if someone were smiling back. At that moment, everyone understood. Donna Rosa's presence had never left. She had been transformed into love, spread through the gestures, memories, and hearts she had touched. And so, the mansion that had once been a symbol of power became a home full of humanity and gratitude. Time, patient and fair, continued to turn its wheels. Decades had passed since Donna Rosa's departure, and the mansion, once a place of silence and pride, was now known by another name, House of Gratitude. It was Gabriel's idea. After his parents passed away and Helena moved to another city, he decided to transform the home where he had grown up into something alive, something that represented everything Donna Rosa had left behind: love, care, and faith. The doors that had once been closed to the world were now always open. Street children came to get hot soup. Lonely elderly people found a smile, a listening ear, a place to rest. At the gate, a bronze plaque shone in the sun, in memory of Donna Rosa, the woman who served with her heart. And inside the house, her little room remained the same. The bed was made, the handkerchief lay on the pillow, and the old wooden chest was open, like a heart that never closed again. Inside, the letters continued to be read and reread by those who came there in need of comfort. One day, a young woman named Luciana, a volunteer at the shelter, found Gabriel sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. "Mr. Gabriel, may I ask you a question?" He smiled serenely. "Of course, my child. Why did you do all this? For a woman who wasn't even part of your family?" Gabriel looked up at the golden sky, where the clouds seemed to be made of light. "Because she taught me what family is." The young woman frowned. "And what is family to you?" He replied in a calm but firm voice. "Family is those who stay, those who love even without being obliged to, those who serve with their hearts, even without receiving anything in return. That's what Donna Rosa did, and that's what I want to continue doing." Luciana smiled, moved. Inside, the wind blew through the open window and made the blue ribbon on the trunk dance. It was as if a sweet presence was in the air, the light scent of lavender, the same as so many years ago. Gabriel got up, went to the bedroom and touched her portrait. "We did it, Rosa. Your kindness did not die. Now it lives on in every gesture we make." And outside, a child laughed loudly, running through the garden. The laughter echoed throughout. The house, light, pure, as if the sky itself was smiling along with it. Because in the end, Donna Rosa's life proved that no love is small when it is true, and that the heart that serves in silence is the one that echoes most in eternity. If this story touched your heart, write gratitude in the comments. If you also believe in the power of silent love, share this story with someone who needs to remember that there are still hearts like Donna Rosa's. Sign up and bring more stories of faith and love into your day.